Yo, what's going on, YouTube? And welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy, Kevin Forte. Guys, we're taking a look today at the Nashville Predators as they have to re-sign restricted free agent Finnish goaltender Juuse Saros. We'll be taking a look at some comparable contracts around the league, what I project we could see in the next deal for Juuse Saros. So we'll be taking a look at Juuse Saros in this video. So, Juuse Saros, the 26-year-old Finnish goaltender, a former 2013 fourth-round draft pick. We're seeing him come to the NHL, and it's taken him a little while to develop. Like I said, he's 26 years old now, but he's just starting to get going. And this is really good news for the Nashville Predators. So, like I said, Juuse Saros, he made his pro debut in 2013 with SM Liga over in the SM Liga in Europe with HPK. He spent 2 seasons there. He went to the Milwaukee Admirals and was kind of bouncing up and down in the NHL for a couple of years. And then in 2018, 2019, that's when we saw him officially become the backup to Pekka Rinne. And from that point, his numbers were pretty good. He had a .915 save percentage, a .914 save percentage. But the Predators were still relying on Pekka Rinne. But now that Pekka Rinne has retired and the Nashville Predators need that next starting goaltender, they just so happen to have one that the past 2 years during the pandemic have put up some really good numbers. The only problem is he's going to ask for a little bit more money than he's been making. So over the past 2 seasons, in a 36-game season last year, he put up a .927 save percentage this season here. So he put up some really good numbers. Now, the 2 seasons prior, he put up a .914 and .915 save percentage. So is that more of what we're going to see, or is this the new Juuse Saros, what he did to push the Predators to the postseason? Is that the guy that they are going to pay long term? Now, during the playoffs, he also put up some pretty solid numbers, pretty similar to his regular season numbers. In those 6 games against the Carolina Hurricanes in the first round, he did pick up a .921 save percentage and a .278 goals against average. So his goals against average was pretty high, but again, you're playing the Hurricanes, and there were certain things with the Predators, not having Josi at certain points, so you can't completely blame that. That's more of a team stat, the goals against average, but strictly the save percentage is pretty good, a .921. That's really good, actually. His career is a .920 save percentage and a .251 goals against average. Some really, really solid numbers for Juuse Saros. Now, the interesting thing about Saros, too, he's only played in 161 NHL games, so he doesn't have a ton of mileage on him, and that may be a good thing if the Preds decide to sign Juuse Saros long-term. So with that said, let's take a look at some guys around the league that have recently signed contracts that we could see similar to Juuse Saros. Jordan Binnington, 2 years older at 28 years old, signed a 6-year, $36 million contract. That's a $6 million AAV. Okay, that seems a little bit high for Juuse Saros, but let's keep going. Philip Grubauer, most recently here with the Seattle Kraken at 29 years old, signed a 6-year, $35.4 million contract. And he's had a larger sample size, you could argue, than Jordan Binnington, and he's getting paid less. Now, Grubauer looked like he was going to probably sign for $5 million with the Colorado Avalanche. Joe Sakic was dead set on $5 million per year, $30 million contract, 6 years, leave it, take it or leave it. That was kind of the stance from the Colorado Avalanche. And I wonder if Nashville's kind of pulling the same card. We'll give you a 6-year, $30 million contract, and he's probably looking for the higher end at probably $6 million, 6 years, $36 million. So there is some argument to be made that you could probably see him get at 5.5, and that's the fair value for Juuse Saros, in my opinion. Again, you could make an argument either way, but Juuse Saros is a guy that you can expect him to get a fairly high number. Goaltenders like this at 26 years old, again, he's 2 years younger than Grubauer and Binnington, which means that at the end of his deal, he's still going to be, 32 years old? So he's not going to be in the twilight of his career at 34, 35, like guys like Binnington and Grubauer will be at the end of their deals. So I think this would be a really good opportunity for David Poile and the Nashville Predators to say, hey, you know what? we're kind of starting our rebuild, but kind of like what the Ducks did with John Gibson. Say, you know what, this is our guy. He's going to take us through the rebuild, but we have our goaltender. Goaltenders are not easy to find, and good ones in that fact. And you've seen teams around the league, scrambling around trying to find goaltenders like the Avalanche just did, fittingly when they lost Grubauer. The Calgary Flames kind of got their guy in Markstrom. The Edmonton Oilers, we know the mess they've been in with trying to find someone other than Koskinen and Mike Smith to come to Edmonton. And the Nashville Predators, if they start a rebuild and they start this thing all over again, it may be difficult to entice a goaltender to come in. Now, they do have Yaroslav Askarov coming in. Remember, he was the first-round pick in last year's draft. First-round goaltender in that draft. So they do have a goaltender in the system, and that's one big one to think about. So Yaroslav Askarov, Juuse Saros can be a good bridge goaltender. And that's the question that maybe Predators think, maybe I don't want to sign him to a 6-year deal. Because now you're looking at what the Florida Panthers did with, Spencer Knight and the Sergei Bobrovsky thing. Ideally, the Florida Panthers would keep Chris Driedger, and they'd still have Spencer Knight and just get rid of Sergei Bobrovsky and his terrible contract. But that's not the case. They are stuck with that. So does, David Poile and the Predators think, you know what, we don't want to have ourselves, maybe not to the same degree as the Bobrovsky situation, but, another goaltender comes up, maybe say like a Connor Ingram, and you have Yaroslav Askarov, and that is your ideal tandem in 2 years from now, while you still have 4 years left on a Juuse Saros contract. Is that something that you really want to be stuck in? So maybe you bring up the argument at 26 years old, Juuse Saros, right? He may want to get his big payday right now. So you wonder if maybe they just sign a 1-year deal, or maybe they they level out and they sign a 4-year deal, and they maybe give him that $6 million per year, but only for 4 years. And maybe he gets that money in a different way. So Juuse Saros, I think, is an interesting thing to figure out here, because if he's going to arbitration, which I'm pretty sure he's on the list of guys going to arbitration, but Juuse Saros is one of those guys that I would definitely keep an eye on in terms of what he's going to get in his next deal, because he's a very talented guy, and this is a guy that I really think the Predators have to think long and hard if they want to keep him or not. I don't think they want to just throw him under the rug and say, we don't really want this guy. I think that would be a huge mistake for the team. But again, it's kind of hard to figure out in terms of, what do they want for term? What does he want per year? There's a lot of stuff that it's not necessarily set in stone. So I'm trying to find here real quick the arbitration. I don't think I have it. Interesting. But we'll see what happens. I'm pretty sure Juuse Saros is going to arbitration. We'll see what happens. Does he sign a 1-year deal and the Predators try and figure this out next year? Maybe we see Yaroslav Askarov come up and he ends up being the next great goaltender in Nashville, and Juuse Saros kind of gets thrown out the window. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. And if you guys like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey, want to see the latest news around the NHL, more videos just like this one, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and an even bigger subscribe down below. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys next time.